30 years have passed since Orlando Perez left Cuba as a young child. Tonight, he shares his memories with us, and he tells us what he expects for his native land after Fidel Castro's passing. Channel 5's Carolina Cruz has more.
Speaking with Orlando Perez, you would think he recently moved from Cuba. There's a sense of pride in his voice, but pain also bleeds through in every memory he shared of his time on the island.
That there was made in Cuba?
Orlando Perez paints vivid images of what Cuba was like for him. He was witness of a thriving country, a Cuba he says came to an end decades ago.
Havana was it. Cuba was the pearl of the Caribbean until this evil man took over.
Perez was 8 when his parents and sister immigrated to the United States.
When we arrived in Miami, we didn't even have a Cuban-born passport. I don't have one. It got taken away from us. We got a piece of paper with a stamp. Get out.
That was one of the many items taken away from them while in Cuba. Perez says his family couldn't retaliate without risking their lives.
And the only thing that my grandparents could do at that point in time was say, thank you, because if we said anything other, you were going to jail.
The family waited 5 years before getting documentation that would allow them to legally leave the country. Perez says during that time, he and his sister took classes in the shadows.
In Cuba, in secret, in hiding, doors locked, windows locked, shades, if we had any, or curtains closed, and very quietly, we took English classes.
It wasn't until the Perez family arrived in Miami that they realized how different their new lives would be.
And the very first thing that I got when we walked off the plane was a lady with a box of chiclets. And I remember getting my very first, my own pack of juicy fruit chiclets.
Perez says his parents could only buy what they were allotted by the government. Neither of Perez's parents lived to see Fidel Castro's passing.
Both of my parents have passed away, so it's sad because they cannot see the man that destroyed their lives and their family.
Perez says Fidel Castro's death doesn't mean people living in Cuba are free to live their lives.
So Cuba Libre will be the day that you can stand at a corner and say, there is a God, you can publicly pray, you can publicly say, I hate the Castro regime, without going to jail. That is what Cuba Libre means, maybe someday, maybe soon.
He says he doesn't plan on visiting Cuba anytime soon because it's not the Cuba he remembers.
It's a beautiful island. It's destroyed, but it is a beautiful island.
Perez is optimistic that Castro's passing means that Cuba will be allowed to thrive again. Fidel Castro's brother, Raúl Castro, formally took power in Cuba in 2008. Raúl Castro pledged to step down in 2018. Orlando Perez says he'll be watching closely to see who steps in to shape history for the years to come in Cuba. In the studio, Carolina Cruz, Channel 5 News at 10:30.